perfectly tender homemade meatballs, a bright and salty tomato sauce, all stuffed into a soft and crusty roll, along with a few other special ingredients and techniques, turns this into the ultimate. Alright, this is one of those things that came about late at night a couple days after a Sunday spaghetti dinner, also known as the best way to repurpose some leftover meatballs. First, we're going to make a panade with some breadcrumbs and a little milk. This is going to help the meatballs retain moisture. Get that into a 50-50 mixture of pork and beef. I'm using about half a pound of each. Then, some fresh grated parm or some pecorino for a little umami boost and some light binding action. 1 egg for some more serious binding action. Then, some aromatics. I'm going to finally chop up 1 whole clove of garlic. The key is we want everything to be super fine to scale with our smaller sized meatballs. Some fresh parsley, super fine again. Then mash up some fennel seeds using something heavy or a mortar and pestle if you got one. You can get creative with the herbs if you want, but I'm keeping it simple with some dried oregano, then some fresh ground pepper, and a few generous pinches of salt. I shoot for about 1 to 2% per volume. You can check your seasoning level by microwaving a small amount as a test. Mix that all together nice and good. Roll them into about golf ball sized meatballs. Take your time here, get the family involved. I don't think there's anything much more nostalgic than rolling out some meatballs on a Sunday night. Well, outside of playing Star Fox or GoldenEye or something. Get some olive oil into a pan, and we're going to shallow fry these until they're browned on both sides, but not cooked all the way through. I'd shoot for a medium to high heat and give about 3 to 5 minutes on each side. I flipped them once, but if you want to be an overachiever, you can try and get all 4 sides. When they're browned on both sides, set them to the side for a minute. They're not fully cooked on the inside yet, but that's okay because we're going to finish simmering them inside of our sauce. Then, into a clean pan, get in some olive oil and the garlic shape of your choice. I'm going with some thin slices today. Depending on how your pan looks, you don't have to switch it out between steps, but mine was looking a little crazy. Then I'm going in with a can of San Marzano tomatoes that I pureed in the blender, followed by a sprig of basil that we'll extract later, and some salt. Then some freshly ground pepper and some red pepper flakes for heat. And after about 5 to 10 minutes, get your meatballs back in and simmer for about 30 to 45 minutes. Scrape the bottom of the pan as often as you can. That'll help stop the tomato sauce from burning. And while these are simmering, give a like, maybe consider subscribing. I always love chatting with you guys, and it means a lot that you spent your time with me today. And those are my meatballs. Like I mentioned in the last video, my Italian friend's grandma tried these once, and she said they're good, so, it's good enough for me. Shout out to Nona Russo. Now, before we assemble, I'm going to roast some garlic for an extra flavor bomb. Cut a whole clove of garlic in half, a little olive oil, some salt, then get it into a 400-degree oven for about 30 to 45 minutes. What you're left with is some soft, sweet, and toasty garlic, perfect to spread on some toast to keep the vampires away. Speaking of toast, I've got this roll from a local sandwich shop that's nice and crusty on the outside, but soft inside. Squeeze the garlic cloves onto the roll and get scraping. Like I mentioned before, this is going to be a nice big flavor bomb for us. Take your time and get nice even coverage. And once you're there, it's time to assemble. I've got some thin slices of mozzarella cheese, and I'm going to get these onto the top and bottom of our bread to serve as both a protective barrier from the sauce, and it also helps not to obstruct the view of our beautiful meatballs for our final presentation. Let's get this under the broiler to melt a bit. While that's melting, you can prep some basil. We're going to slice this nice and fine. If you've been watching cooking videos for any length of time, you've probably heard the term chiffonade. Just roll the basil up into a cigar shape and thinly slice it. This is the perfect garnish for a sandwich like this, a pizza, pasta dishes, you name it. Alright, our cheese is melted. I believe it's now assembly time. First, go on with the meatballs. You're going to want to shoot for a nice, full, even coverage here. I think these are the perfect size meatballs for a sandwich like this. Smaller meatballs means more surface area per volume, which means more browning and flavor per bite. Then let's go on with a nice generous portion of our tomato sauce. And you can go crazy here if you want. Since we got our protective layer of mozzarella, we don't have to worry about sogging out the bread. Followed by some fresh Parmesan or Pecorino Romano if you want an extra sharp bite. Alright, we're in the home stretch here. We're gonna finish it off with our chiffonade basil, and last but not least, some fresh cracked black pepper. I mean, tell me that doesn't look good, right? You don't want a bite of that? Alright, so this is a pretty critical point here. We're gonna see if we can get the top to stay here. Maybe. Alright, I think it's safe. Now, cut it down the middle, cause you're not a savage. This isn't diners, drive-ins, and dives. Alright, let's see how it is. Wow, okay. Perfectly tender meatballs. The nice salty and bright sauce plays nicely off the fattiness of the cheese, and the roasted garlic and basil really bring it home. Alright, we did it. Give a like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys later.